Well, a video has been circulating online about a white helicopter that touched down somewhere in DRC, and we could see men wearing Congolese uniform and allied militia going in that helicopter and getting out military ammunition cache from that helicopter. And further, it could also be noticed that there are white men that were part of the crew of that helicopter. Are they mercenaries, and are mercenaries still working with the Congolese army, despite the fact that quite a number of mercenaries were captured in eastern DRC by the M23? Well, that is part of the story that I'm going to tell you in this video, as well as a 5 million bounty has been put by the Congolese government for information that will be given for the arrest of AFC and M23 leaders, including Corneille Nangaa. Well, this is bona fide. If you haven't subscribed, kindly subscribe and hit that notification button so that when I release something new on the DRC crisis, you get notified as soon as possible. Well, the question of whether the Congolese army is still contracting mercenaries popped up once again just a few hours ago when this helicopter was seen landing somewhere in Congo, and we could see the Congolese army and allied militia going in to get cache of ammo from that particular helicopter. Now, many have been asking about what is the role of mercenaries in assisting the Congolese army. And I did a video just 2 days ago describing why the Congolese army is contracting mercenaries. Part of the reason is because the Congolese government itself sees its army as being weaker to fight the insurgencies in eastern DRC. And that is why they are contracting mercenaries, they are contracting even militia to assist them in fighting the insurgencies in eastern DRC. Part of these are the Wazalendo and other militia that are assisting the Congolese army. It is also said that the FDLR is part of the militia that is assisting the Congolese army, and that is particularly the reason that Paul Kagame has been quoting that this insurgency in eastern DRC is also affecting Rwanda directly because of the FDLR. These are the militia that are seeking to overthrow the government in Rwanda. Now, in the beginning of this heightened conflict in eastern DRC, we saw the M23 capturing mercenaries in eastern DRC, and they moved them to Rwanda, where they were repatriated to their countries. Now, these mercenaries were hired by the Congolese government to assist the Congolese army in eastern DRC. They have been there for quite some time, working for money, working to get paid so that they can fight the insurgencies in eastern DRC. That is the same thing that we are seeing now still happening with this helicopter landing to give supplies to the troops in Congo so that they can continue to fight the M23 and other militia in eastern DRC. And a reward has been announced by the Congolese Government Ministry of Justice for anyone who will give information that will lead to the arrest of the leaders of the M23 and the AFC. According to a statement that was released by the Ministry of Justice in Congo, a reward of $5 million for anyone who will allow the arrest of Corneille Nangaa, Bertrand Bisimwa, Sultani Makenga, and a $4 million for any information leading to the arrest of Perot Luara, Irenge Bailenge, and other wanted fugitives, and payment will be guaranteed and total protection of identities and personal data will be assured. That is one way of the Congolese government giving incentive to anyone who is close to these people so that perhaps they can betray them, perhaps they can cause conflict within the M23 high ranks, so that these people will be given up to the Congolese government and someone will walk away with $5 million. So the Congolese government is employing all tactics it can, from asking for sanctions from the international community to going to the extent of giving a request to the United States so that the United States can work in close coordination with the DRC government to give minerals so that the US can be in Congo perhaps to discourage the M23 from gaining ground and to discourage Rwanda from meddling into the affairs of the DRC. And talking about the approach that the Rwandan government is making on the international community, it should be noted that Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the DRC, had gone to Chad to ask Chad to assist the Congolese government in fighting the insurgency in eastern DRC. And someone will say this is akin to the moves that were made by the Congolese government in the Second Congolese War or the African World War. And Rwanda is also making moves towards this approach because we saw a release of a statement from the Rwanda Defense Forces. They are working very closely with the Central African Republic, and they saw the graduation of about 438 new soldiers, including 38 women, after successful 6 months of rigorous military training. And this training was conducted by the RDF in collaboration with the FACA, that is the Army of Central Republic. We are seeing alignments right now. While Tshisekedi will align with Chad, that Rwanda will, of course, directly align with Central African Republic. They have been working closely. And we are seeing if this conflict is not well contained, it can spill over to other countries. Just the other day, there was a meeting between presidents in SADC, and they gave a statement. In fact, I will quote a statement that Emerson Mnangagwa, the president of Zimbabwe, said about this whole crisis. And he said that the enemy is at sixes and sevens. I will play this video so that you can listen to it directly. And we defeated them yesterday, we'll defeat them today, and we'll defeat them even tomorrow. This is Emerson Mnangagwa saying these exact words about the conflict in DRC.
On the regional defense, peace and security front, the joint SADC and East African community-led initiatives to finding lasting solutions to the conflict situation in the eastern DRC, in the eastern parts of DRC, is progressing well. Comrades, the enemy is at sixes and sevens. We defeated them yesterday, we defeated them today, and we will defeat them tomorrow.
Although the SADC countries will have a meeting to discuss whether they should remove or withdraw their troops from Goma now that they are surrounded, and the M23 asked them without an ultimatum that they should withdraw all foreign forces from Goma. They are surrounded, they don't have much of an option right now. They have to withdraw their forces. They are going to have a meeting to discuss whether that is viable. Still, we are seeing some alignments because as there was a summit by the SADC heads of state just 2 days ago, we saw Felix Tshisekedi attending that SADC summit. While there are East Africa Community summits, Felix Tshisekedi does not believe that East Africa Community can give a way forward on the Congo crisis. And if you look at these two regional bodies, you'll find that there are some struggles between the SADC region and the East African community have different ways of approaching this Congolese crisis. While the East African Regional Force was in the DRC, Felix Tshisekedi came out and said that the East African Regional Force is not ready to fight the M23. And they say that they should withdraw from the DRC, which they did. And then he invited the SADC countries to step in and fight the M23. You know what happened late January when that all took place. And at the middle of this, we have Tanzania. Tanzania has been very allied to SADC in sending forces in DRC and not East Africa Community, even though Tanzania is part of both SADC and East Africa Community. And we know also the DRC is part of SADC and East Africa Community, but we can see the DRC leaning more to SADC than the East African Community, and Paul Kagame has been very active in East African Community. So we are seeing different rifts coming right now when we are talking about these regional bodies and how they're approaching this issue. It will be very interesting to see how former President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Mariam Desalegn, will approach this issue and give a lasting solution to the DRC crisis.